I got to take part in a 48-hour film competition, which is the first time I've ever done anything like this, and this was super cool. 10 out of 10 would recommend if you get a chance to do this. Basically, me and a bunch of YouTube buddies, so that includes Tamara Gabriel and Kofi and Terry Warfield and Michael Tobin, flew into Columbus, Ohio to take part in this 48-hour film festival. And basically what this means, if you've never been a part of one before, because it was all new to me, is you have 48 hours, just 48 hours, to script, shoot, edit, and deliver a short film. It was super cool. It was really fun. This is something that Tobin has done a bunch in the past, and he talked to all of his YouTube buddies, us, about it, and we decided to join him for it. Huge thanks to Accsoon for making that possible. They're the ones that made it possible for all of us coming from all over the world to join Michael for this thing in Ohio. We're going to talk a lot about them throughout this because the Accsoon monitor was a really, really important part of this process, especially for me, the sound guy. Now, I don't normally think of myself as the sound guy, but that is part of what is so cool about doing a 48 like this. Normally, as a YouTuber, I do like everything, right? I got to set up the camera and the lights and the audio, and maybe, just maybe, I've got an assistant like Adnan behind me there. Everybody wave. And occasionally you have an extra pair of hands, but usually it's just you. But here on set, we had an entire crew. And so one of the coolest things about that was that I got to do one job. I mean, kind of maybe two or three, but basically one job. I was sound. And so I was the guy with the audio recorder, with the boom and all that, making sure that the show sounded good. Now, part of doing sound is, of course, not getting your boom in the shot, and having the Accsoon monitor made that possible. We'll talk more about that in a minute. First up, check out a few clips from the movie trailer from the movie we made.
Why haven't you crossed yet?
See those woods out there? Whatever you heard about them, it's true.
Will we get there by the morning?
Get down, get down!
We have to go!
This is the Accsoon CineView M7 Pro, and this is what we had on set. And one of the big things you can see right here, it's a wireless monitor. In fact, you're seeing me here on here. Let me tell you why this is so important. Now look, we've all used monitors before. Monitors are awesome. Monitors allow you to see on your camera something bigger than that teeny tiny little LCD. So you get 5-inch monitors, 7-inch monitors, and so on. This is a 7-inch. That's the 7 and M7. The reason having wireless receiver built into the monitor is so cool is it allowed anybody on set to see what the camera was seeing. So for me, as the sound guy, this meant that I could have a monitor mounted to my audio recorder, and I could be looking through the camera while I was positioning the mic. Why does that matter? Well, the worst thing as a sound operator is to get your boom mic in the shot, and this allowed me to get that boom as close to the talent as possible without getting it in frame, and I knew for sure every time whether it was in frame or not. So that made it invaluable for me. One of the other locations was the video village. The video village is where all the cameras are routing to so somebody can monitor everything going on. So our shot director, shot list manager, not quite sure what their job name title was, but they were watching from there, and they were also calling out what shots it was. This is scene 3B, take 4, that sort of thing. So we can put that into the slate metadata. In fact, the whole slate metadata thing is something that I was running as the audio guy. That was really, really cool. It's too much to go into in this video, but if you're interested in hearing how you can have your slate metadata embedded into audio and then automatically added to the video files, let me know. I'll make a dedicated video on that because that was super cool. It's really nerdy, but I love that stuff. Anyway, so you had the video village, and then you had the other camera operators. So we had two cameras on set. The other camera ops could simply switch back and forth between their camera and the other camera. So camera A could see what camera B was seeing and vice versa. Love that. The director himself had a wireless monitor he was running around with so that he could see either camera, again, switching back and forth between them, so he always knew what was going on. The other monitors on set were likely used just as monitors. I know Tamara was shooting BTS with one, and she didn't need to see what the main camera was seeing, so she just used it as a big, bright, beautiful monitor for her own shots. Now let's get into the specs on this thing. This is an impressive monitor. First of all, it is a 7-inch monitor, 7 inches diagonal, nice and big. It is made of basically solid metal. I've got it in a cage here that was included in the shipment that Accsoon sent us. It's not included in the monitor. It is a purchase that you have to make separately, but definitely worth it if you're going to be mounting this to your camera or even mounting handles on it. It actually kind of comes with these little, you see here, check that out. There's like these little almost handles on the side of it as it is, which makes it super convenient to just grab onto. Love that. And just overall, it feels really, really solid. So again, 7-inch diagonal screen. It is a 1920 by 1080 panel, so it's an HD panel. However, it can input up to 4K 60p. So let's talk about inputs and outputs. It has both HDMI and SDI. The HDMI is HDMI 2.0, so that means you can bring in 4K 60p. Since it has both HDMI in and out, you can then pass out 4K 60p. It also has SDI 3G, so that means 1080p. You only have 1080p on the SDI, but that's also in and out. But here's the really cool thing. The device will actually cross-convert and up-convert from HDMI to SDI or SDI to HDMI, and it will do it simultaneously. So if you're feeding in HDMI at 4K 30, for example, you're getting 4K 30 out on the HDMI, and you're getting 1080p 30 out on the SDI. That's really cool. So it really just gives you a lot of options and flexibility with how you're rigging this thing up. The screen is super bright at 1000 nits with a 1000:1 contrast ratio, and it is really, really color accurate. In fact, they do a color calibration at the factory that they then ship with a little paper with it that shows you the calibration results, but you can do a custom calibration as well. The screen is really designed to be as color accurate as possible, which is obviously really, really important and helpful on set. It also has an incredibly wide viewing angle, which means that you can see it really far off angle. I mean, I'm looking at it like this and I can see it perfectly fine, which Michael noticed when we were setting up. Listen to this.
Another thing is viewing angle. So even right now, like I'm super harsh on the corner and it still looks good.
A really interesting thing about this interface is it's actually an app running on Android. This is essentially an Android tablet that has the Accsoon app running on it. And so when you are updating it or changing the date and time or things like that, you'll find that you're actually dropping it into an Android type interface. But that means that the whole thing is touch and really, really easy to use. You can do all your standard things you would expect to find on a monitor like this. You've got your false color, you can load LUTs, you can load up a waveform monitor, but it's not just about turning those on. Check this out. The top of the monitor has 4 buttons on it. Those are user programmable, so you can make them do whatever you want. And I've got mine set to, let's see, the first one, if I push that, it turns on false color. So now I've got a false color view of this shot. The second one is my waveform monitor. But look at this. This is so neat. My waveform monitor, I can position wherever I want. I can make it a little bigger. I can put it over here, make it a little smaller. How cool is that? I also have, let's see, focus peaking turned on here so I can see that I'm in focus. You can make it do whatever you want. So the interface is really customizable and easy to use. In fact, if I bring up the row of buttons along the bottom here, these can all be turned on and off individually as well. So if there's certain features I never use, like say LUTs, maybe I never put LUTs on my monitor, I can just hide that button so that it's not getting in the way. Very, very customizable overall. The M7 Pro also allows you to have camera control of some cameras. At the time of shipping, it's only a few select Sony cameras, but Accsoon says that they are going to expand that. So hopefully we'll be getting camera control for our Lumix cameras pretty soon. It does record in H.264 and H.265 internally, so that's awesome. But it's not just internal to the SD card. It actually has internal memory. Not a lot, like 25, 26 gigabytes, but it has some. How many times have you showed up somewhere and you forgot your memory card? None of us have ever done that, I'm sure. But for those who might do that on occasion, this now has a little bit of memory storage built into it, which I think is just huge and a total lifesaver. Every camera in the world should have that. But it's not just internal and SD card. You can actually connect an SSD to it over one of the many USB-C ports that the monitor has, so you can record externally to that as well. Pretty slick, so lots of good recording options in there as well. Let's talk about power. This thing can be powered by NP batteries, and you can see that there's 2 slots in here. It can also be powered via a DC port, or you can actually power this thing over USB-C USB-C PD. This thing's got all kinds of options for getting power. Love that. But it's not just about power in, it can also do power out. One of these ports down here will output power. So you got a couple of big batteries on here. You can feed it power out to, say, a follow focus motor or whatever else you might need. It's always great to have extra options for getting power on your camera rig. Then let's talk about audio. It has a microphone input, so you can feed audio into this directly if you want to. Probably not something you do often, but you have the choice. It has headphones out, as you would expect, so you can monitor audio from this. But it also has Bluetooth audio headphone support. So I can take Bluetooth headphones and monitor audio on here. Now, I don't know about you, but that is crazy cool. The ability to monitor off of Bluetooth headsets without having to have yet another wire between my rig and my brain, that I like a lot. Okay, now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the 4 big pokey things sticking off the top of the monitor. What are those? Well, they're antennas. And if you're not using this as a wireless transmitter or receiver, you don't have to have these on. These just, they come right off, no problem. So if you're not using it that way, you can take that off. And look, I took it off and I still have signal here. So let's talk about the whole wireless transmit and receive. First of all, transmit. It doesn't actually do that yet. That is a feature that is coming. The ability to transmit video from this device to other devices like it is coming in a future firmware update. For now, it acts just as a receiver. Obviously, it's working as a receiver. I have an old, like 3 or 4 year old CineView HE that is currently sitting on this camera that is transmitting to this. In fact, I did a video on that for Accsoon a number of years ago. I'm gonna link to that video down below because that was one of those videos that I loved it. It came out so good. So check that video out. It was really cool on how that whole CineView HE system worked, but that older system is completely compatible with this brand new monitor here. So absolutely love that. So again, transmit in the future, receive today. The wireless setup on here also means that you can connect to a Wi-Fi network and upload footage to a cloud service directly from the monitor. So if you want to do a camera to cloud workflow, you can. You can also use this to live stream. You got to get connected to a Wi-Fi hotspot. You could use your phone for that or just use your Wi-Fi in your building, and then you can do a live stream from the device itself. So that's pretty slick as well. The wireless technology they use is a 2.4 gigahertz, 5 gigahertz hopping thing that just jumps back and forth, always looking for the cleanest signal possible, so you know you always have a good, strong feed. And it's super low latency, 60 milliseconds or less. Gotta love that. I've just told you a whole lot of information about this monitor, but I didn't get to everything. If you want to learn more about this, and even if you don't, you still got to check these videos out. You got to go watch the videos by everybody else who's on set with me. So check out Michael Tobin's, check out Terry Warfield's, check out Kofi's video, check out Tamara's video. All of those videos are fantastic and tell you more about this and more about our experience on set. Finally, the last thing to tell you, which I'm sure you're dying to know, is what is the price of this thing? Well, it's actually probably more affordable than you would have guessed. It comes in at just $900. Let's remember that this is a very bright, very high quality monitor with an incredible interface, wireless and transmission receiver capabilities, and it's awesome. So with all that said, $900 is a pretty good deal for it. If you want to buy one, please do use my link below. It's an affiliate link, but it always helps me out, helps out the channel. And of course, as always, if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We passed 100K, love that. Next milestone is 1 million. That's a bit, maybe we'll just shoot for 200K next. See you in the next video.